Dr. Mike here. So do you have digestive issues and maybe are taking regular enzymes, but they're not working? Could it be histamine? Stay tuned to find out.
You're listening to Live Foreverish, a show dedicated to helping you live just a little longer. Here's your hosts, Dr. Mike and Dr. Crystal Gossard.
All right, welcome to Live Foreverish. So Dr. Crystal, ever since I've been in the integrative medicine industry now for almost 20 years.
Yes.
One of the first things, especially in younger people, when they tell me they have digestive issues, gas, bloating stuff, having them start digestive enzymes it's so common and it works in so many cases.
Most cases.
Yeah.
It's just an enzyme issue.
Not all
but
cases.
It's a good starting point.
It's a good starting point. But we're throwing in a little mix here now, though, a little issue,
right,
that has to do with histamine. We have a guess.
Yes, because most enzymes are only targeting protein, carbs, fats.
Right. So we're going to get into all this and what all this means with our guest. Adriana Duelo is a registered dietitian with over 15 years of clinical experience. She is a researcher at the University of Barcelona and director of the DAO Institute, which is currently present in 31 cities across 16 countries, including the United States. Adriana, welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for the invitation.
So we're going to be I think when people think of digestive issues, digestive enzymes, stuff like that, I don't think most lay people think of histamine at all. It doesn't come into the conversation at all. So tell us what role histamine does play in the digestive system and why it could be important.
Yes, totally agree. People do not think about histamine. Even doctors don't think about histamine. And it's a vital molecule. It's a natural compound that in a high levels can be very, very involved in digestive issues, such as bloating, reflux, or constipation. So when everything it looks like normal in medicine, in different tests, or other enzymes that they could take, and anything of this works, it's time to think about histamine and to see if these patients suffer from other symptoms. This is the main thing that healthcare professionals have to think about it.
So I think people aren't thinking about histamine because we associate histamine with more of your nasal symptoms. Like people know the antihistamine, allergies, and so we're now seeing digestive concerns related to histamine. So can you just share kind of what's happening? Where's this histamine coming from? And what is its role in the digestive tract? And then let's talk about a little bit of more detail on what the intolerance is.
Exactly. So first of all, maybe to understand what is histamine and why histamine can generate symptoms in our digestive system is to know a little bit more about this molecule, that we can find it in too many places, very, very different. One of these places is inside our body when in this case, it acts and it has many, many functions. One of the main functions of histamine, and that we probably didn't know some years ago, when I speak like a regular person in the street, is about its relation with gastric acids in our stomach. Thanks to histamine, we can do good digestions, for example, because it helps us to create these gastric acids. And it acts in many other systems with many other functions. For example, in our immune system, it acts like a regulatory molecule to respond allergies, or in the neurological system, it can generate vasodilation or vasoconstriction in our arteries, and it's very, very important. But then we have also histamine, the same molecule inside different foods, very, very different foods. But in this case, this histamine, this exogenous histamine that we call, it doesn't generate any function. So that's why our body needs to eliminate it. But,
okay, so that we're talking histamine coming from foods, not the histamine that's being created in the body.
Yes, because then people think that histamine is bad, and histamine is not bad, but everything in life, if we have deficiencies or even excess, they will create bad situations. So in this case, histamine is vital for our life. But if we have in excess because we are eating too much, or because we cannot break it down, and I'm going to explain to you a little bit more why some people cannot break down this histamine, then it comes to our small intestines, and then it goes through the mucosa, and it enters to the bloodstream, generating different symptoms. And here is the problem.
Yeah. So when I eat food that has histamine in it, you had mentioned before, we have to get rid of that because we don't want to have excess, right? And you're saying the body has a way of breaking down that histamine. And if it doesn't, that histamine eventually gets into my system and can cause problems. So what's the breakdown process? Like, what is there an enzyme that breaks histamine down?
Exactly. The main pathway of histamine is the DAO, diamine oxidase enzyme. So when people do not have enough DAO, or it doesn't works pretty well, it doesn't have enough activity, so then this histamine is not able to be breaking down, and then we cannot eliminate it through our urine. And then it goes inside our bloodstream, it travels, and it activates different receptors. We have 4 kinds of receptors, and then we don't know why in some, in a same family, for example, we can find different symptoms, but the main cause is the same. And in some people, they activated maybe the H1 receptor, and in another person, the H2 or the H3, generating different kind of symptoms.
So, okay. So maybe what I'm hearing is if it's lingering in the gut, you could receive or have some more GI related symptoms, but you may also have more, I guess, classic histamine symptoms as well. Like, is that what you're saying? Like, if it's building up, now it's going into the bloodstream and attaching to various histamine receptors, H1, H2. I'm just kind of summarizing to make sure that I'm following clearly. Then you may get like a runny nose or some of the other symptoms related to excess histamine along with gut issues.
Totally, exactly. When we have, for example, a rhinitis not related to allergies, then it can be due to a DAO deficiency, because at the end, the accumulation that we are talking about is histamine. So histamine can generate bloating, that it is the main symptom that generates bloating and constipation.
Oh. But
then if we look to other systems, the second system more affected is basically neurological system with headache and migraine. And then the third could be skin system or respiratory system, and also musculoskeletal system with fatigue. That's why it's very, very difficult at the beginning to diagnose, because sometimes when people have runny nose, they go to the specific doctor, And they say, okay, you don't have any allergies, you are fine, go home. Instead of think about another kind of accumulation.
So I think that's a good point she's making. We're not talking about allergies.
Right.
We're talking about an intolerance to the histamine. And it sounds like it's due to a deficiency in the DAO. So it's more of the enzyme issue. So it's not really, or maybe, is it the food too? Because I know you said they're the high histamine foods. So are we just eating too many of those foods? And maybe we can talk about what those foods are, or is it at the level of the enzyme?
Yeah, I love your reflection, because it's not just about foods. We are not saying that foods are bad. We are saying that in this individual with a low level of DAO activity, he or she will be less or more able to break down histamine of their own diet, of their old diet. So that's why when people say, oh, okay, I know that banana has histamine, so I'm not going to take it anymore. Be careful with that, because there are so many foods rich in histamine, and we cannot follow a strict low histamine diet all life. And that's why we separate it by phases, because it could be very, very difficult, and also it could generate mental disorders.
So how do I know if I have DAO deficiency?
Good question.
Yeah, like, how do I know this? Can I ask my stomach, like, everything okay down there?
Yeah, there are two tests in this moment. One is genetical test. We can test the DAO gene. It's called AOC1, and we can test 4 variants. We now know that if someone has some of these variant alterated, they will have more numbers of suffering from DAO deficiency. Mm-hmm. And then there is also another test, less specific, but it's also working, that it tests the DAO activity in serum, but it changes a lot during the day, during the month, because of the hormones. So both tests are necessary to be asked by medical doctors, but always to be treated with the clinic. So it's not just, okay, I'm going to test my gene, and if it's positive, I'm going to start a diet or whatever. It's not that easy, but it's quite easy.
I understand. So you're saying you combine the test with the symptoms?
Yes.
Yeah. It's how prevalent is DAO deficiency in general population?
This is a good question, because it is estimated that the prevalence is really high, around 10% of the population. And this is, wow, it's huge. But probably diagnosed are less than 1%.
And do you know, since this is a genetic variant, are there any particular populations who tend to have a deficiency more than others? Any groups of people?
Well, the thing is that genetical studies are just taking in Caucasian population. Now, one month ago, a Mexican group of researchers did their first study in Mexican population, but the rest are Caucasian. So we don't know the difference between other countries. But it's very, very high. The genetical prevalence is around 70%, but this doesn't mean that that everybody suffering from these variants will develop the DAO deficiency symptoms, because it's a predisposition test. But it's interesting.
So I wonder, since that's the case, do you find practitioners like maybe doing sort of like an elimination diet where you just kind of figure out, okay, are these histamine foods problematic?
Isn't the issue though? There's so many foods have histamine though. Isn't that the issue? Like let's say I have DAO deficiency. From what I understand, I'm not going to be able to do a low histamine diet for very long because it's going to take away a lot of food.
Yeah.
Right. So is there some, that's correct. So I don't know if elimination, I mean, people can try it.
That's what I'm asking.
People can try it. They can try anything they want. Yeah. But I think it's hard because it could be so many foods.
Yeah. I mean, I am a registered dietitian, so I'm going to tell you that we can do a lot with diet, but I know that people. I just
want the pill.
Well, I'm just wondering just to find out if that's what it is.
No, but I mean, so people, it's necessary to follow a low histamine diet, but just for 4 or 8 weeks. So we need to go out.
Right.
We need to celebrate things. So we cannot tell to our patients, oh, come on, start this diet. It's going to work, absolutely. But it's insane to take it for all your life. So we will need it. Yeah. We will need it just for some weeks. And then we start reintroducing foods. And we have different therapies to help us reintroduce foods, this kind of foods, without the reappearance of symptoms. This is the most interesting part.
So I think that you just answered my question because I wasn't thinking like permanently, but to just identify, is histamine my issue? We do know that there are some foods that are really high in histamine, and just as a test, and then you reintroduce the foods and then you can say, okay, it's histamine. I'm thinking about the people who maybe not have access to the genetic testing to identify if that's truly the
you're trying
problem.
To figure it out.
I'm trying to kind of how do you navigate that? And so I see that you could do it for maybe 8 weeks and then reintroduce those foods.
Yes.
Without the symptoms, I think.
But what are those foods though? What are the high histamine foods that we're talking about?
The highest histamine foods are, for sure, alcoholic beverages, especially beer and wine.
There goes that one.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but during 4 weeks, at least 4 weeks, we suggest to avoid them at all, and then we can reintroduce them with DAO supplement, but I can talk about a little bit later, and then to avoid all aged cheeses. They're full of histamine, and also some vegetables like spinach, aubergine. Yeah, I know, all good.
You're hitting.
So wait.
You're naming all of my favorites.
You pair the wine with the cheese.
Yeah. That's why I said that. That's what I said, that it's impossible to follow it during all life.
Right.
So, all right. So, but is there something else? Okay. So sure. Food first, right? In this case, not food first, eliminate it. But, and we believe in that, Dr. Crystal's a doctor of clinical nutrition. We're always talking about food first, but obviously that's going to be tough here. And even those elimination diets, I mean, they're helpful, but they're not all, you can get some weird results here and there. But so what else can we do? Is there something that improves my body's ability to break down histamine?
Yeah, what we use and that it works very well is DAO supplementation. So when it didn't exist, so the only source, the only therapeutic tool that we had was the diet. But 17 years ago, when we had the opportunity to use the DAO supplement here in Europe, it changes the life of patients, because we can open the diet and they can reintroduce different interesting foods, not only cheese and wine, but also oily fish or citrus fruits, or, for example, at some point chocolate. It's a good source of energy and antioxidants, so we can reintroduce it. Or tomatoes, for example, in summer. So yeah, it helps us as healthcare professionals to have a more balanced diet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't like telling people you can't eat certain foods. I mean, we preach you need a variety, and because histamine is found so prevalent, this is a nice way. So the enzyme, let's just go back to this histamine now that you're receiving from your food, and then you take that enzyme, and that enzyme is just breaking it down just like any other digestive enzyme.
Yes, exactly. Just it's easy. So you take it 15 minutes before that meal, and it will be able to break down the histamine of that meal. But the thing is to be responsible. And if you have DAO deficiency, you are not going to probably eat every single day histamine, even you take the DAO, because it's not a magical pill. So we have to do like balance between the diet and the supplementation. And then we at the end, what we are suggesting is to follow a moderate histamine diet with DAO supplementation.
This is fantastic information.
I think it's great.
I think it's eye-opening to a lot of people to realize, a lot of my issues may be related to histamine. I think that's something that's new for a lot of listeners. That's good. And so what's anything on the horizon for DAO deficiency, the enzyme, any new research you're excited about?
Yeah, totally. There are so many things to do. Now I'm finishing my PhD in the University of Barcelona after 8 years. And what I would love to create, I don't know if I will have time now in this area, but in the future, I'm pretty sure that it will be we will have the opportunity to create functional foods with DAO. I think this is very, very interesting, like to have, for example, milk with calcium, but also with DAO. Or for children, why not? DAO in a liquid way or in lotion for urticaria patients. This could be very, very interesting.
Or in my red wine.
I was just thinking that too.
Fortified aged cheese and red wine with DAO.
Well, in fact, in Austria there exists a company that creates wine without histamine. But here, because a lot of research started in Austria, in Germany, and they know a lot about histamine. But what I think that they don't know is that ethanol can block the pathway of histamine. So we have to do more research, because a wine without ethanol, maybe it's not interesting, but but we will end up with some solution, I'm sure.
That's fantastic.
Good. How can our listeners, follow you, check out some more information about DAO?
Yeah, I think that they can find us on Instagram, like with DAO Institute, DAO Deficiency Institute, because there we have different registered dietitians, medical doctors, and psychologists that then they can help them, because it's important to go to a professional and to do not do it alone, because it's quite difficult. And sometimes patients, when they came to the consult, they come with diets more strict than needed. So it's worth. So it's not worth, I mean. So they can follow them, us in Instagram or also in our website, and they can download the list of foods totally free. Yes, and they can start like seeing if these foods rich in histamine are in their diets. It's the first step. And so if they see, oh, I am drinking every morning an orange juice and a toast with cheese, and then I used to take cured meats and oily fish or many other histamine-rich foods, then they can suspect that they are suffering some kind of problem with histamine, and then it's important to contact their doctor.
You've been listening to Adriana Duelo, a registered dietitian and director of the DAO Institute. Adriana, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much for your invitation. It's a glad.
And don't forget, you go to liveforeverish.com and you can download, like, share, comment, review, and subscribe.
All that we want you to do, all of the above, please.
Yes, that's at liveforeverish.com. And yeah, I don't know how many episodes we have there now. I always forget whatever. There's a ton. There's definitely something in that library you're going to like. Probably a lot of stuff. But our sponsor, Life Extension, would like to do what?
Well, just say thank you for supporting the show. And if you head to lifeextension.com and kind of look around, you see something you like, add it to your shopping cart and use the discount code podcast to receive 10% off $50 or more, plus free shipping and handling.
I'm Dr. Mike. That's
Dr. Crystal.
Thanks for listening.